part 2. So, in the first part of this video, I discussed how I learned the conclusions of science. How I learned like how we draw those conclusions, right? And then I looked at how evidence of like things like the Grand Canyon don't show age; it shows youth. So the Grand Canyon shows youth by its rivers running into it and then having to turn at greater than 90-degree angles, and there's no delta at the mouth and things of this nature. Now, I can go on and on about all the reasons that your science is high-sounding nonsense, the stuff we learn in school. There's like evolution's never been shown. I talked about how all the missing links, except for like one, have been totally disproven, but are still taught. Some of them were disproven in the late 70s. So when I was born, 44 years ago or more, and they're still being taught. They don't take it out of the books, even though the books say by law everything has to be factual, but they don't enforce those laws. And talked about how the flood theory can work on the flat Earth and the globe, and how a lot of the things I was talking about all work simultaneously. Excuse me. And there's 25 lies. Fuck, drinking too much coffee. Excuse me again. 25 lies in the textbooks, all around age of the Earth and evolution, proven lies. And the school board, and this was in the 90s, so we've proven a lot more since then. These ones were definitively proven. And the school board said a bunch of bullshit. But then in the end, they said, we don't like to use the word lie. We prefer to call them misrepresentations, which is just a fancy word for lie. But that's the Satanists. They tell you the truth, but then they can lie and misrepresent that truth and do all these tricks, right? But they have to stay righteous under God in order to maintain power in this realm. And so you got to be good to your fellow man and do all the laws, or not all of them, but majority, and then that way beneficial things will surround you if you live a certain way and think a certain way and talk to yourself a certain way and all that stuff. Then a certain life will surround you. But if you get outside of that, then that life will disappear, right? So they're real tricky about what they do and don't do. But this is one of those things where they can tell themselves and other people that it's misrepresented. So they're telling you that they're lying, but they're just saying it in a fancy way so that you don't catch on as quick and you don't argue, right? But they have to tell you that they're lying. They have to admit it at a certain point. It's part of their thing. And you have to willingly, knowingly walk into their shit, right? So that's why they have to tell you the truth. But then they can lie to you and manipulate you and do all kinds of other things. But in there, they have to tell you the truth. Anyhow, so What if I'm wrong? Well, all the science and all the evidence leads to the Bible. Other things are like this bone on the human skull grows for our entire lives. So if the Bible's true, I would expect to dig up people who have a really large eyebrow ridge on their skeletons. And those people would have been the pre-flood people who lived to be 1,000 years old, or up to, into the 900s. Anyhow, and then lizards, again, they grow for their entire existence. So if the Bible's true, I would expect to find huge fucking lizards, skeletons, evidence of huge lizards. The giants, the Bible says there were giants in those days, so I would expect to find evidence of fucking giants, and we do. If you look at newspaper clippings from the 1800s, they didn't hide it then. Now what they did was the Smithsonian would come in and buy up all the skeletal remains, and you can't see them anymore. There's nothing written about them. There's no studies done on them. There's nothing. They're just hidden. Chances are they're in like temples and fucking being worshipped by these satanic fucks. So anyway, these are all evidences of the Bible, not of your foolish caveman theory. Caveman theory, well, I would expect that there would have been a time when people would have had to have lived in caves and followed the herds of animals around, because we just got off of a fucking boat and there was nothing. We had the boat to tear apart, but it had just been thrashed for a year, and animal piss and shit everywhere all over it and everything else. So and you were trapped in there for a year and everything else. It wouldn't be something that you'd want to go use too much of. And there's only so much vegetation grown, and there's only so much whatever. They were all vegetarians, even the animals getting off the ark. So they wouldn't have looked for meat, right? They would have followed the herd of animals, sure, but everything would have been grazing, and it would have been more about breeding, right? So even the lion would have just been worried about breeding and eating the grass. Now the lion's cubs, however, would have gotten a taste for meat, maybe, or might have been their grandchildren, right? But eventually, yes, they got a taste for meat, right? Obviously. But not right away. And so that that would have given the carnivores time, or the herbivores time, to gather some numbers and to scatter to places like the Galapagos Islands and stuff like that. They had a lot of time to get there, because it wasn't, like I was saying, until the Grand Canyon was opened and and other places like that, other huge bodies of water were released. And as those bodies of water were released, the ocean raised up, buried the lost city of Atlantis, but also buried all the walking trails, protecting the Israelites, because they walked over here and then the water came up behind them, cutting off the road. But also, like Australia, if the kangaroo and the lion lived together, there wouldn't be kangaroos. They'd all be extinct. They'd have been eaten. If there were wild cats in Australia, there wouldn't be kangaroos. That's why there's kangaroos nowhere else on Earth. Koala bears and all kinds of shit like that. The only reason that they can survive there is because they got there and then God raised the water up before the predator animals got there. Otherwise, they'd be gone. And then he had to do it even further with like the Galapagos Islands, where he got animals out there that couldn't even survive in Australia, obviously, because they're not anywhere else on Earth. There would have been a trail of them left behind as they spread out, right? Each generation would have traveled further and further. And they got to the Galapagos Islands, there would have been like a trail of generations of them left behind everywhere. But those were just easy prey. To the wolves and big cats and things. Again, the big cats got over here to America, but not in the numbers that they did, so that the wolves and black bears and all bears could do a lot better. That's why they don't have as many bears in Europe. Food competition was just too scarce, and you got a pack of lions coming up on you, and you're a black bear and a cheetah and all these other things coming up on you. You can only defend your food for so long, and hyenas and shit like this. Like, even the cheetahs, they normally, when they get a kill, they get to scarf down whatever they can, and 9 out of 10 something's coming and stealing the back half of that. Leopards carry their shit up into the trees so that they can protect it that way, because otherwise the lions would eat everything. You got, say, 10 lions come over to you got to abandon your fucking shit. And lions, as we think of them as these noble creatures or whatever, they're actually more of a thief animal than the hyena. The hyena does more actual hunting and killing than the lions do, because the lions don't have to. They got the size and numbers. They can go in and just run the hyenas off a carcass and drag it home. Or the wild dogs or the other cats. Doesn't matter. Especially if they got the male with them, which they usually don't, but some situations he's brought out. Anyhow, so all the evidence says look into the Bible. So, or at least I had to concede that the Bible was an accurate history book. At that time, I didn't have to concede to the spiritual side of it. I didn't have to believe in Christ. I certainly didn't have to believe in the death, burial, resurrection. Evidence shows that, yes, we do have to believe in Christ. Too much evidence that it's overwhelming, and that you could prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the man existed. Whether he did all the things, that's another whole argument. But that he existed, that's not an argument. Though I've heard of, one guy said it to me the other day, and I just didn't even respond. I just unfriended him and got rid of him, and I might have put something on this post, but I just seen a post. We're scrolling through on Facebook, and it said something about, yeah, but he didn't exist or whatever. No, I was just like, I'm not even dealing with this. I deal with those people too much sometimes, and it's just like, ugh, no, you're too far gone, and hopefully nobody reads your comments or thinks that you're smart. Anyway, I used to be him. Used to be that guy that would say blasphemies like that and then spew out a bunch of bullshit that I learned from National Geographic and from like some school. But I excelled in certain things in school, but the pace had to be fast. If we were learning the same thing over and over, and we had to slow down for this kid and that kid and fucking learn it over and over, the same fucking thing, and just all this slow, mundane bullshit, then I'd just misbehave. I'd get bored and I'd start misbehaving and get in trouble. But if you were interacting with me, interacting with the class, interaction was always good. And then, and not just writing on the board, write these notes. Fucking stupid. You don't know how to teach. Anyhow, lost my train of thought. That's the last thing I need. So all the evidence points to yes, okay, there was a Christ, and the Bible is historically accurate, and it's showing that it's also historically accurate in its in like people living for that long, and animals living for that long, and the world being different before the flood, and that there was some kind of catastrophic events that changed a lot of shit on our planet. Yeah. I talked a lot about the flood, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, my nose is itchy as heck. So now it was the spiritual part. It was a long little introduction, wasn't it? So spiritually, right at first, I could already tell that throughout my life there had been miracles, just little things here, there's whatever, like just how did I live through that or whatever. So seeing that, and then people talk about like karma and string theory and all this other stuff, so you know that there's more to it than what we just see and feel. There's more to it than just the surface, because even the most atheistic, scientistic goofballs want string theory or something to tie it all together. Because it's unavoidable that we're all tied together. Everything in life shows that. Just as you live, things will show you, oh, wow, man, it's like, it's this connection and this connection and that connection. And eventually you realize, okay, I'm connected to fucking everything if I want to be. And if I can connect properly, then we all fit. This is amazing, right? And then just the design of everything show all the similarities, right? Shows that we were all designed by the same thing, and the absolute perfection of the design shows that it was designed. It couldn't have been just a fluke. It was a ton of thought went into this. This, right? Like when you think about the inner workings of this vehicle, it is nothing compared to the inner workings of the human body, or even a cat or dog. And what goes on in the brain matter is again, is just astronomical. And then there's something above that again that we feel that's like spiritual, that's undeniable, that we call karma, or we call all these other things that, you know, anything but God. Mother Nature and Father Time and all this other. What? No. Everything leads to that it is God. Not just all that scientific stuff, and then the Bible stuff, and then just, you know, it in your own soul, your own spirit. You know that you have a soul and that you have a spirit, and that there's more to the world than what you think and what you perceive, and that just all that stuff, you just know it. You can feel it. Some part of you knows and feels that, and depending on how connected you are, it could be a huge part of you, or it could be just some small little tiny thing. but it's undeniable that there's something spiritual going on. So then you can say, well, the Bible was right about all of history. It was right about all the science it was talking about and feasible. And now it's right about all this biology and stuff. And we know that there's something spiritual. So why wouldn't you think that the Bible is right? It's right all the way along. It's right all the way through about everything else. So then you start really looking into the Bible. I did, sorry. And I started to read the Old Testament and the New Testament and try to figure it all out. There's so much there. I still didn't know anything. But I started to pray and do some of the spiritual works. And then I noticed drastic change in my life and in my thoughts and in my everything. So then I got a little more into that, following those rules, praying more, asking for specific things when I was praying. Didn't really know what I was doing praying. Didn't know how to pray, really, but whatever, just did it. Anyway, I'm having flashbacks of all those times and even the apartment I was in and everything. Anyhow, and just kept watching all this. What the fuck is that? That was funny. There was a fly crawling on the fucking phone, and I seen it, and it looked like a great big fucking bug crawling on that size of my face. I was like, what the shit is that? Ah, you little bastard. Oh, that's funny. So there you go. You know it's live. Or my hair would be prettier. I keep picking this up. I'm not going to smoke it, though. I gotta get used to not smoking so much. So I kept praying. I kept working, doing things. And God kept changing things, answering things, giving me new... As I studied, he'd say, I'd see that, I got to do this. I got to do that a little different. And if I do this a little different, if I change this here, and then every little change made dramatic change. And so then when I made a dramatic change on some things, it was like, whoa, this is something. And now you could still say, like a friend of mine says, well, that's not God, Jay, that's you doing work. That's just, you're just reaching your potential kind of thing. But it is more than that. So God said to me through omens and signs, he doesn't talk to my head, do it. Give away everything you fucking own. Give up your job. Give up your apartment. Get ready to move wherever I tell you. And I said, okay. You've been asking me this basically my whole life, and I've just been denying it. I've had that urge to do this. So I said, all right, fine. And I dropped everything. Started giving shit away to people who I, thought that they would love the things. And then took the bulk of my furniture to a rooming house, and I put it all out in the lawn, and I went and knocked on people's doors and just said, first come, first serve, guys. It's all yours. And it was gone that day, all of it. So that was nice. They all appreciated it and got to use it. And then packed up everything else and moved into the woods. Lived in my van, little Dodge Caravan, out in the woods. You can look up videos of it. It was a wonderful time. And kept growing with Christ, kept working, screwed up a little bit, but got back into it. Anyway, got through the winter. That was my screw up. I should have stayed in the woods. I went and stayed with a friend, and that was dumb. I should have stuck with God through it. He would have looked after me. I thought that the friend was God's way of getting me out of the woods or whatever, but it was an offer from the devil, and I just didn't see it. You got to see who the offer's coming from and what their life is, what they do and what they think and feel, and who they are. Who do they work for? If it ain't God, then it ain't God. Really watch that offer. Really be cautious and weary that if the offer's not from a Christian or a biblical person, that offer is easily tainted. Anyway, got through that, got the better van, got tweaked up, got things a little better as time went on. I was still living in the woods though. But I was able to build a little outdoor thing, and I had a storage and shit like that, so I could keep all my stuff over there. It's pretty good. Got through the winter, and then got an opportunity and whatnot, and got the call again to just go. I was nervous because shit wasn't ready. My life wasn't in line yet for this trip and for this go, but I just said screw it. There's always reasons not to. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to have faith that God's going to look after everything when I get there. And jumped in the van and boom, just came here. I planned on coming here for a week. It's been like a year and a half. And coming here, giving away everything and all that. Right now, I could easily get it all back. And got 3 jobs that are all better than the job I left. Opportunity. People saying I'll pay you to not leave and go to Hawaii. If you stay here, I'll give you a raise on the roofing job, or on the shoe repair job. They're like, I'll give you any job you want in any of my 3 stores, manager, whatever you want, and give you X dollars, commissions, whatever, and hopefully work you into owning your own store location somewheres, and running it, and just giving us franchise fees. And then the Home Depot, of course, whatever. I could stay there, go back there, whatever. They like me. They're, oh, where's that Zico? Bye. Because you're just a number at the Home Depot. It doesn't matter who you are. That's why I like that job. Because you're just a number, but when you come back, they're like, oh, I recognize that number. Sure. Come on back. There's always room for you somewheres, I guess. And it doesn't matter if you leave. You're not going to break the company or make the company. And you're not taking any of it home. So I can focus on things like this, or on my inventions, or on whatever life. My son, for a long time when I first got here, I focused all my extra time on him, and so that it just fits for me, right? Because everything about that job fit. Because I'm not that you know, integral cog like I am when I'm a tradesperson. If I'm the carpenter, usually they give me a fucking apprentice. I hate that. I don't want to fucking train some fucking kid unless he's keen. I've gotten one good apprentice, I guess, and he was fucking keen, but he wasn't mine. I never got him. I got to work with him and teach him a lot of stuff, and I liked it. And he was fucking keen, and he caught on to everything. But then he got scooped right up by a big company, and blessed. God bless him. Great kid. I hope that he's doing super well. Jordan was his name. He was through a plumbing company, so he went on to be a plumber, not a carpenter. But what a good kid. Other than that, though, getting apprentices is a fucking pain in the ass most of the time. I guess his boss apprenticed under me as a carpenter, but he was already a journeyman plumber, and he apprenticed with me as my carpenter, and it was too easy to teach to someone like that. He stomped on everything. That was his big thing. We called him Flipper Feet for a long time because he'd fucking walk right on top of materials, just right through, right over tools. Fuck man, great big fucking ape. But other than that, really good guy. Oh, I don't know how I got talking about that shit. Don't know why I was down that rabbit trail of work. But spiritually, Jesus is proving himself every day in my life that he's existing, that he's real. Every time I get an answered prayer, all the knowledge and wisdom and determination, these weren't my traits. I'm a totally different creature. And in that, I know there's a real Jesus. And it's not just me, a bunch of us. So, anyways, guys, I'm going to let you. Oh, I got 52 minutes today. That's awesome. In that, we can know that that there's a real Jesus and that the power is real. So, why wouldn't you believe the rest? And then the disciples of Jesus, they didn't gain much. They gained a ton in the afterlife and all that, but by martyring their lives for Christ, for the word of Christ after he was gone, and saying that he was great and who he was and everything, they all got killed for that, tortured, and lived as poor people. So there was no benefit to them. Unless they were just full-on Satanists who wanted to just destroy the Bible. So they wrote a new one. But when you look at their acts, what they did, the things they achieved, the people they saved, they weren't evil Satanists out to kill. So that rules that out. So then logically, soundly, you can just walk into the Bible fully believing and giving anybody a full answer at any time to any of the faith in your heart, because we went through spiritual, scientific, all of that stuff, and historical, and it all works and it's all perfect. So, and intellectually, and just that feeling in your own soul. So, yes, there's definitely 100% the Bible is real. So then all that's left is to study it, and then study the books that it refers to, and study all the books that the old religion studied, like the Maccabees and stuff. Again, because it refers to it, but it also explains it in greater detail. Jasher, and like Jasher, the Bible refers to him, and he was alive during all those times, and he was a general, and he was this and that, and wonderful book. And then the Jubilees and the Maccabees and the three. I think there's 3 books of Adam and Eve, 2 books of Cain, 2 books of Lilith, the book of Bartholomew. There's the Ascensions of Isaiah, and then there's the books of Enoch. So all of this, all these books, help you to further understand the entirety of the Bible, history, and all that stuff, and how it all worked, and how to better spiritually align yourself with God, and all this knowledge gives you more faith, and the more faith you have, the better your walk's going to be, right? And you get that straight walk, boom, and you're just right on the money every time, and you know you're in Jesus's footprints, you know. Which brings me to another thought of this guy right here. Jesus said, it's not what goes into a man's body that makes him a sinner. It's what comes out. As he drank booze, which the Bible says, do never touch alcohol once it ferments, right? But Jesus said, no, you can drink alcohol. Just don't be a sinner because of it. Don't drink alcohol and then blaspheme your friend, wife, God, life, pick fights, do all this crazy, stupid things. You know, if you can drink a couple drinks and just be happy and merry, go to bed, well, nothing wrong with that. As far as pot goes, well, they burned incense constantly. And in one of my just last videos, I told you how they spelled essence of marijuana that they put in the lamenting oil and pour it over their body. And that rightfully so. When I do it with my coconut oil marijuana, butter, and it's not butter, it's coconut oil. And you put that on, say, a sore muscle, that muscle's not sore anymore. You put that on an arthritic hand and you get your full movement back and it's good to go. Put that on your sore feet and it just feels amazing. Fucking amazing. Especially if you're still just that little bit of silkiness from the oil left on there and you put on nice clean socks. It feels so good. So obviously it only makes sense, and it's good for like skin cancers and all kinds of different things. And then the other thing that really tells me that it's good and that it's from God is like and that it's the best one. I'll get to all that here in a couple minutes. Our society proves itself over and over of being evil and satanic, especially like the medical side of things. And then they say things, they call all of the plants that are the best for you, they say are weeds. Rip them out by the root and fucking kill them, right? Like dandelions and stuff. But then they go an extra step with marijuana and say, no, it's illegal. If you get caught with it, we're fucking putting you in jail. Well, perfect. That means that it's the best one. Same with the mushrooms. Oh, you can't have them because you'll go to jail. But then you find out that they're spiritually awakening and that they'll change your fucking life. So, all of that combined tells me that pot's not a bad thing. Now, I smoke fucking phenomenally too much. Especially, I quit smoking cigarettes, and I almost smoke enough joints to fucking replace them sometimes. So, especially right now, because it's so fucking cheap. $10 an ounce, that's fucking insane, right? Go grab a quarter pound for $40 and you don't care, you just fire them off. The fucking paper costs more than the weed. So anyway, Hawaii is gonna be good for my lungs for sure. Though it's legal there, and I will be able to get some. It's just expensive as fuck. Hopefully, I can get my hands on some like crappy, mediocre-y shit to do some cooking with, make some more body oils and stuff when I get there, because I can't really take any with me. I've been giving everything away. Again, I gave away, oh shit, must have been at least 1,000. No, it was more than that. It was fucking $1,500 worth of tools this week. And yeah, probably fucking, I don't know, at least a couple $500 worth of fucking body oils and shit. Yeah, but to give away my rock collection, all the crystals and all that stuff, and then whatever's left when I sell this van or give it away, whatever God needs, everything that's left in it will go with it. So, like I was saying, there's, just to replace all the little things would be a couple $1,000s worth of fucking little shit that you would have to buy. Excuse me. That I could try to go pawn or sell on Facebook or whatever. I don't want to bother with any of that shit. And, excuse me. I have full faith that if I can sacrifice it and just let it all go, and that I'm going towards Jesus, and he'll easily replace it if I need it. If I don't need it, then what the fuck? I don't need it. It's something about our society where we cling to all these possessions that we don't need or whatever, don't want or don't need. And a lot of people will have sheds and garages and houses and attics and shit and just fucking full of stuff. What the fuck, man? How much of that do you need? And what's that do to your life? I can already tell you what it does to your life, but it sucks all the quality of life out. You're living for all those possessions that you can't even really utilize or whatever because they're so fucking messed. So, anyways, guys, I am going to let you go. I got to wrap this up. I think I have wrapped it up. quite well. I hope that you've gotten a better understanding for Christianity, what it really is, the Bible, right? Um, Christianity has it totally wrong as well, because they've taken that false science and the Bible and they combine the two to make some weird new Satanism. But the Bible's there, the books are there. You have brain enough. There's people like me all over the internet talking about it to help you understand anything that's complicated or written in this weird old English and you don't fucking understand the definitions of the words the same way that they understood those definitions of those words, because that's another trick of the devil he loves to do, where he changes the language and then you can't keep up, kind of thing. Anyhow, God bless, guys. Have a great day. I really hope you subscribe. I'm getting they're age restricting my videos so that you have to be logged in order to see them, so and they won't come up in your feed as much and stuff like this, so which sucks, as I'm trying to make money here subscribing or with subscribers. And I wish Rumble would hurry up and get their shit together. I bought a bunch more stock in there too, because this upgrade's about to kick off. They're getting all the presidential everything all switching over. The bigger media faces, Crowder and on the Republican side, I guess, they're all switching over there, and it's going to kick off, especially with this presidential debates and stuff all being broadcast there instead of YouTube. It's really going to help Rumble. I hope, anyway. They've been talking about this upgrade for months. It drives me insane because I'll put all these ranting videos on just Rumble and put YouTube will just be for my sailing videos and life and little fun, stupid things like I was doing on TikTok, so that I can get a bigger audience, maybe pull a couple bucks out of YouTube and get my brain release on Rumble. Anyway, so let's hope that hopefully that happens really soon. Anyway, in the meantime, I hope you subscribe, even if you don't watch all my videos or content or whatever. Just subscribe anyways, because it'll help me. If you can like the video, that'd be awesome as well, because all that stuff helps my algorithms and all that crap. God bless. Have a great day, guys.